Dario Gristina, who's the chairman and CEO of CPL Group USA. He's an experienced business operator and entrepreneur with a career spanning more than 3 decades. And his commitment to supporting all of you and sharing his knowledge, he's recently released from the hospital. So I'd like to turn it over to Dario and welcome him and say, I'm glad to see you're in good health and clearly good spirits.
Thank you very much, Rob. Thanks, Peter. I appreciate your well wishes. I was very interested by your prior speakers. Very, very interesting business plans, and at least I got an education so far. Our companies, so I started this business back in the mid-'80s with my dad, and the business is totally different than the prior 2 speakers. But we're in the commercial real estate service business, and we started as engineers, electrical engineers, and evolved from there. I've had several startups over the years, including an internet company. And more than that, over the years, one of the major and most important concerns has always been centered around energy management. Energy management has been one of the driving motivators and factors in the way we operate our business and the way we have conducted our research and development into several products. One of the things that we do today is manage electrical distribution systems for large commercial operators. For example, the Empire State Building in New York City, we manage their electric distribution grid by making sure that tenants have the proper amount of power allotted, that the grid is not overburdened in any one area, and maintaining all that information becomes key. We operate a number of different divisions in the energy management, the engineering side, electrical construction, elevator consulting. And over the past 4 or 5 years, about 4 years ago, I was introduced to a technology called PoE lighting controls. PoE stands for Power over Ethernet. And in essence, it's a beautiful technology that merges lighting with the IoT. That is really the key phrase and the key takeaway out of this. So in essence, you have lighting that is now all DC based, DC meaning direct current based, because of LED technology. That no longer requires line voltage. You can have a power over Ethernet device that both powers and controls the lighting. Now, why is that important? Well, lighting is the most ubiquitous thing we all have in our lives, whether it's our homes, buildings, what have you. And the ability to merge lighting and the associated controls within the IoT makes it possible to really reduce lighting levels to what's optimal, and therefore reducing energy usage in a very, very substantial way. We have a client in the city that has shown a tremendous reduction on a building-wide level of energy, especially obviously from lighting, and a much improved lighting experience for their clients. Because with LED technology and the combination of the drivers and the electronics that's behind it and all the software, not only you affect lighting levels, but also affect the color of lighting, so that you can have warm light in the morning and it transition into cooler light in the afternoon, and all of that. It really begs to the theory of circadian rhythms and how lighting affects our mood, our performance, and all sorts of other physiologies that we often enough forget about when we are hard at work. So in essence, the PoE lighting is not only a part of wellness, but it's very importantly part of the energy management and energy savings that can be accomplished both on a residential or commercial industrial basis. And because of the fact that it's a DC driven device, it merges very well with solar power. Now imagine solar power panels on top of a distribution facility where now the lighting is powered directly by the solar cells, and there is no AC to DC conversion required because everything is happening on the DC side of things. So we have worked very hard to develop product that is reliable, robust, and has the capability of interfacing not only with the lighting, but being that lighting is an integral hub, if you will, in any interior space, it has the ability to provide a central point for any data distribution. So we have already interfaced this lighting systems with security systems, with occupancy, with conference room scheduling, shade controls, outdoor lighting sensors, et cetera, and it works wonderfully, especially when it's autopilot, because nobody really likes to go there and tweak things on an ongoing basis. In fact, we had a client that recently called and said, "Gee, why are the lights so bright during the day?" And we said, "Well, customer, you told us to keep the lighting level in the lobbies of your building at a certain point between the hours of 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. If you'd like us to change that," because he was always used to going to the office late at night and noticed that the lights were dim, and when he got into the corridor, they would light up again. So in the fire and forget mode, it is very powerful technology, and it works real well. One other thing that I wanted to mention is that with obviously the COVID has affected all of us one way or the other. One of the effects that it had on us is that back in March, when the lockdown began, we had the number of employees that we wanted to keep busy. In fact, one of them, a young engineer, turned our attention to UVC lighting. And back then, to be honest with you, I'm an engineer, but I never really gave it another thought prior to that. But we started looking into that, and we went pretty fast. We put the pedal to the metal, so to speak. And we went from engineering to patent applications to production in a very short period of time. So we are now actually selling high-powered, inexpensive, they work very well, UV lighting units to commercial real estate owners, to establishments, restaurants, what have you. And the effect that it has is tremendous from the sterilization and clean air and surfaces standpoint, as well as the peace of mind. I mean, we have conference rooms where folks have meetings, and in between meetings, they put one of these units in for 10 minutes, sterilize the environment, and then call the next meeting. So these technologies are the UV technology is wonderful. I mean, it's been in use for the past, 50, 60 years in very selective and niche markets like hospitals and laboratories and even meatpacking and industries. But I think that the wider adoption is going to just help protect us in the future, whether it's COVID or 19 or COVID-20 or 22 or whatever it may be. I think that it will be of help to us and society in general. So on that, we have so far financed the entire operation on our own, but we're now putting together a private placement memorandum to raise some money for that entity, and it's actually going very well. And we're hope to be able to manufacture here in the U.S. And be able to provide additional products that are synergistically aligned with that mission. And the mission being keep our environment as safe as we possibly can for ourselves and whoever is coming in after us.
That's really helpful. Is that the plexus behind you?
Yes, the PR company gave me this background to use.
Well, that's one way to work around Peter's slide prohibition. So kudos to you on that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know.
Oh, no. It's perfect. It's good marketing, like your team said. So on your products, both for the UV one and your other power over Ethernet systems, a question from Ibrahim Ihari was about how is machine learning impacting some of your management systems, or is it used, and what kind of role? You mentioned some fire and forget. Is it a smart system, or it's more you have a team that supports the deployments?
So the actual deployments are, there's a physical installation portion of this, obviously, along with the lighting manufacturer. So lighting manufacturers work with us to ship lighting implements, fixtures, whatever, that are compatible with our system. And in essence, all they need to do is remove the AC to DC converter from their light fixture. As far as the software, that's a very interesting question, because that is really the key, and that's where the system shines, is the application of AI and learning capabilities, so that we can deduct from the utilization of lighting and all the occupancy and sensor data. We can tell where people are congregating within a certain space, how many people are in an office. So in a area that we have the system installed, we can tell without any cameras, without any security, whether there are people in it, whether they are in one office or another, where they've been, where their movements have occurred. And in addition to that is the interface with temperature control systems, so that now if a perimeter office has a different temperature than the thermostat that's located in the central open area, we can have one of our partners install simple mechanisms within the perimeter HVAC system to allow for more finely tuned control of temperature. So all those things merge under that PoE software umbrella that makes it a very powerful tool, not just that goes way beyond just the lighting factor.
All right, well, we only have about a minute left, and I have a couple of follow-up questions from Tom Blum, so we'll make sure that you and he get to chat on some of the logistics on that. So, but one other question that came up from Graham Calvin was related to kind of the typical IRR values for implementations on, PoE lighting or systems compared to maybe some other smart energy solutions. And any final thoughts as you're wrapping up? And glad you could join us and at your home and healthy.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, so the cost side is actually the savings on the installation cost, because of the fact that you no longer have to run line voltage, are offset by the cost of the electronics and the software. So it's typically a net zero change when it comes to cost. And on the operating side, there is at least a 30% savings on a year-over-year basis on energy and ongoing energy costs. So it's a win-win situation for any application. Well, thank you very much, folks. I hope I answered the questions. Any additional questions, please, I'm sure you can direct them to me. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Peter. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dario. Really, again, glad you could join us.